everyone. I'm going to start a series of these videos that are specifically addressing specific issues. And this first one is definitely on the subject of cancer. This is a hot subject, if you will, and has been for quite some time now. And I feel that it's very important that we have an informal discussion about cancer so you'll understand what cancer is and what it isn't. Very important because there's a lot of misinformation, I think, absolutely dropped out there just for the sake of it. I think there's a lot of misinformation, and I don't know who you could blame, whether that's important at all, whether you blame the medical profession from doing that or whatever, but there's a lot of lack of understanding of cancer. Of course, there's tremendous fear involved in the word cancer. Doesn't matter where the location is. So I think that we need a chat. I am degreed in naturopathy and biochemistry. I've spent the better part of over 40 years now involved in health programs that people have used world over for their health issues. These health programs are addressed at tissue regeneration, which can basically be said cellular regeneration, and genetic remembering of cells. That is our primary focus here. And we use the system or the process known as detoxification. During this video, you'll understand why that is essential, why it is the need of everyone diagnosed with that word, and that it's important that you understand, again, what it is, what it isn't, and what you need to do to find remedy. So let's begin this discussion taking a look at the human body, and these are some foundational issues that you must understand before you can truly understand what the word cancer or literally any disease is. And when you understand how your body's designed, you understand some very basic chemistry and physics, you'll understand that you've been lied to, that there is a hype called diseases out there, and that the medical profession uses that to foster their own financial interests and to control basically the World Health System. The World Health Organization would like no more. Same thing with the American Medical Association. It's that Rockefeller consciousness of world bankers, World Health Organizations, which would like to see the world population cut as much as 90%. The powers that be obviously consider the world too populated to sustain. And at the rate of population growth, this will not be a sustainable planet. And this is important for all of us to understand the essential reason why they're looking at that. And that some of what they're looking at is factual. Others is they would rather find ways to terminate humans as opposed to just being truthful and open and having discussions with each other. And that's what we need. We need a frank discussion about cancer. You know, I had a nurse ask me, because I had made a comment about the cure rate in the use of chemo and radiation is somewhere around 8%. She asked me where I got that because she's heard 60%. Others, 90%. You know, there's so much propaganda. The medical profession would love you to think that 50% of the people survive the use of chemo and radiation. And I think that is laughable. I think that you would want to see proof and evidence of that, which there, in my opinion, are none. The FDA on the Berinsky tapes did mention that basically I could round this off or surmise this by saying that 8% basically of those that enter chemo and radiation treatments end up surviving it over 5 years. That would leave 92% of the people that enter it die from it. And if it's 10%, okay, 10% of the people that enter chemo and radiation, they don't ever get cured from it, but they're in remission and they have a survival plan of so many years, 5 years, 10 years, blah, 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 blah. Those that live, the differences between a 5-year survival rate and a 10-year is considerable. Because radiation can last up to 20 years before cancer can return to those cells that were radiated. 20 years. I had a lady in here that her cells converted to cancer 26 years after radiation treatment, and her oncologist told her that it was from the radiation that these cells now became cancerous. I don't know if, maybe you could tell that, but that is a stretch of period of time. I don't know how accurate that would be. Certainly, it is guesstimated that radiation eliminates the oxygen absorptive route of a cell and keeps the glucose route open, which then fermentation of a cell exists, and blah, 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 blah. A lot of theories about that. But let's stop and look at the human body for a minute. I will tell you this, it was important to review our video on the lymphatic system. That's about the second or third video I've done on this site. I am going to do another one. I have part of a new book written called The Illusion Called Diseases. It's a title of a book series. The first one up is The Great Lymphatic System. Because if you do not understand what the lymphatic system is and how it works, you're not going to understand a thing about what medical doctors call diseases or what pain and suffering is all about. You will not understand that at all. So understanding the great lymphatic system of the human body is paramount to understanding everything from cancer to diabetes to lupus to any arthritis, any condition that you can name. So let's start looking at the human body for a minute. I will say this, you will do yourself a world of favors if you'll drop the concept of diseases. I will tell you this is a hype, this is an illusion. Doesn't matter who promotes this. You can go track this way back into the dawn of time probably. But this concept and idea of diseases, that you catch things, is insanity. Yes, we have microbial activity in and out of the human body. And yes, they can trip and trigger a healing crisis or a set of symptoms, no question. There are some gnarly parasites out there. But most of the germ theory currently is based upon Pasteur and Jenner. It was definitely Pasteur that I think killed one of his children. Also, and on his deathbed claimed he was wrong. Jenner is European, same type of philosophy, and they could be no further from the truth. Rife spent a lot of time trying to develop the Rife machine to kill pathogens, blaming pathogens as the result of cancer. And I think it's all bullcrap. You are not at the causative gate. And I want you to understand causative factors. What's the cause of this problem? Not the effect. You already know what the effect is. Be it a tumor, be it decay of tissue, be it simple pain or swelling, or a cyst or eczema. It does not matter. You must understand the body's gigantic sewer system before you can understand what's up. And once you understand the gigantic sewer system of the human body, everything will fall into place. You'll lose your fear. You'll be loaded with knowledge, and you'll be able to do something about your problems. And it is vital that you do that, in my opinion. Many people have died using fear to guide them, and you never use fear. You always use knowledge, information, and learn the appropriate issues involving cancer. So let's look at this for a minute. Taking a look at the human body, you could cut off the fat and simply say that the human body is comprised of roughly 100 trillion cells. When I went to school, I think I was taught the human body was comprised of 80,000 or 80 trillion cells. So 80 trillion, 100 trillion. Every professor in this country is a little different in their teaching. Science is far from having the truth or any piece of it. Almost, I think you can depend upon science, older science, before you can depend upon newer science. I think science has taken a trip into the cosmos and have lost some focus of basic principles of chemistry and physics. And I think you must always apply basic principles of chemistry and physics to the equation of how this giant biosphere called planet Earth and this giant laboratory called planet Earth. We don't need our own little laboratories. We have one of the biggest one ever built that we have ready access to, and where most of our knowledge needs to come from, and that is from this gigantic laboratory, biosphere, planet Earth. There you'll find all your answers to your questions, and it'll break you from intellectualism. Intellectualism, we praise that in our society, and it's been our downfall. We've praised intellectualism over spirituality. And so therefore you see the desire to kill each other. You see this the calculated control of the world by the world banking system. You see these narcissistic individuals that have no clue what life is about. These people are never happy. These people are constipated. These people want to rule others. And I find this, of course, God is not going to allow this to exist. That's just what they think. So you'll see the world changing. It is changing now. And so, vital that you gain knowledge. Human body comprised of 100 trillion cells and 2 major fluids. Outside of the human cells and the 2 major fluids, the body's comprised of some bacterium. Bacterium are the janitorial service offered up by nature. Vital, essential part of the human body is bacterium. Don't be fooled. You get a lot of your vitamins from bacterium. Bacteria is designed to consume sewage, to break down the weak. We need those atoms. So we do have fungal problems. We have fungal problems because we don't metabolize our sugars properly. And that's coming from weak adrenal glands, which are common. You can learn more about the adrenal glands and blood sugar problems in these videos. But it's enough to say that we have a lot of fungal problems in the human body because of grain eating, starch eating, and the inability to metabolize that level of sugar. We have some protozoas. Some people have worms and flukes. You can get those babies out of the human body, obviously. The bigger boys need to go. Microorganisms are our friends. You have to understand what their role is in nature. You must understand how nature creates and maintains this huge biosphere of untold amount of individual creatures, and how everything all works together. So everything survives, proliferates, but also dies. Because you have to have birth, life, and death on this in creation. You can't hog all the atoms and not allow for the overturning and the rebuilding of life constantly. You can't stop life from rebuilding. I have many gardens around where I live, and you can't stop weeds as you can't stop plants. They love life and they love to grow. And so it is with all life. Life is always in flux. Life is never static. So life is ever changing. When a biochemist thinks they can figure out the homeostasis of the human body, that's their narcissistic viewpoint coming through, because biochemists have no clue to the human body and the transmutation of chemistry in the human body. We don't have a fraction of what is going on in nature at the chemistry level and physics. Getting better, but we have a long way to go. So, vital to understand, the human body is comprised of cells and 2 major fluids. Okay, so if I'm talking about your liver, what am I talking about? An organ made of a bunch of cells, right? If I'm talking about your heart, what am I talking about? A 4-chambered organ that is basically a muscle, if you will, made of a bunch of cells. If I look at your kidneys, a bunch of cells. Your skin, a bunch of cells. Your brain, bunch of cells. Your thyroid, bunch of cells. Your adrenal glands, bunch of cells. Your bones, bunch of cells. Your skin, bunch of cells. So here we go. The body's comprised of roughly 100 trillion cells. Some so small you can't hardly see them, and some a foot long. So there's a lot of cells that comprise the human body and its parts. Well, what's up with the 2 major fluids of the human body? What's the job? Why would there be fluids in the human body? Why the 2 fluids, and what are these 2 fluids? Well, that's simple. We know one right off, right? You cut yourself, you see one quite aptly, and that is the blood. Your blood is obviously the life force. It is the kitchen of the human body. It is how you feed your cells. You got 100 trillion little people that need to eat. Now, if I'm a cell in your liver, how do I get up and go to the kitchen? Now, if I'm a cell in your liver, how do I get up and go to the kitchen? Or for that sake, how do I get up and go to the bathroom? Because if I eat, I'm going to have to eliminate, aren't I? Because everything virtually on this planet consumes and eliminates. We see that in industry, we see that in plants, we see that in animals, and of course we see that in humans. We don't quite like the elimination side of life. We like to eat. So we like the good side, where everything tastes good and everything looks good and everything's good. But when it comes to eliminating waste, well, we don't like that side too well. But it is a reality for those that are moms and dads. Obviously, when you have a little one, you've got to feed them, but you also have to clean them. Because everything eats and consumes and eliminates byproducts and waste from this. Call it metabolism, call it respiration. It doesn't matter what activity we're talking about. It all yields waste from every part of your body. Matter of fact, 100 trillion cells basically eat, and 100 trillion cells basically eliminate waste, except when you get too far out. And then there's a little of that going on in certain ways. But the human body, again, nothing but cells and two major fluids. The first fluid is the blood of the human body, the kitchen. So you have a lot of body parts being the kitchen: liver, lungs, heart, gallbladder, pancreas, GI tract, upper particularly, but lower as well, as eliminating digestive waste. So we have a lot of kitchen. Blood, of course, is the main fluid that carries the goodies to the cells, right? So, obviously, cells partake and enjoy of the nutrition and of the goodies, carbon and oxygen being essential, right? And what is carbon? Carbohydrates, sugars. So you have to have a sugar. You must. You cannot starve the human body for a sugar. That was Atkins' philosophy and killed a lot of people. And now another medical doctor is coming out with another high-protein diet. Maybe a little jail time will sit them back and realize you can't tell people lies like this and have them kill themselves from acidosis. You can't do this, and that's what's been going on. The harm to the human body from proteins is unbelievable, and we'll get into that in just a minute. So we've got that kitchen going on. We've got that nutrition going on. We've got that blood flowing to everybody. That's good. We know what happens when blood doesn't flow to cells, do we? Death, right? Because carbon is a sugar. That's essential. That's the gasoline that runs your car, carbon. And then you've got oxygen, and we have our little carburetors right here. So we're bringing in the oxygen. We're mixing it with carbon, yanking out the hydrogen, and now we have what's called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, cellular go-go. Cellular juice, right? Now, anything that eats, obviously, is going to produce waste. Call it metabolitic waste, respiratory waste. I don't care. There's a whole bunch of waste that are produced at the cellular level and also at the parasitic level. We have to realize that even though we have a janitorial service, that's going to yield some byproducts and waste as well. So, how many of you guys out there poop in your kitchen? No? No? How many people poop in their food before they eat it and then kind of sift through that? Well, that's allopathic thinking. Allopathic thinking is that cellular wastes are reabsorbed back into the venous system. Someone made a comment the other day, after they're cleaned, you clean waste. Okay, we'll look at that as we tear through this here. So we know we have to have a way to get rid of waste. We know the idea of putting byproducts, waste into the kitchen is not quite what anybody does. It's not what animals do. Nobody likes to do that. So for me, that theory of where the cellular wastes are reabsorbed back into your venous system, to me, holds no water for several reasons. Some do. There's no question that carbon dioxide can be broken down into water, blah, 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 and that sort of thing. So you do have some chemistry being transmitted, but I can tell you, you can't take most waste and convert them back to base chemistry. It's impossible. It is not essential. It is not what's going on there. So let's go a little further here about this lymph system, because you must understand this gigantic lymph system. If you want to understand cancer, you have to understand the lymph system, okay? Now, let's look at the body's lymphatic system. Matter of fact, I saw an ad on TV, and it showed a piece of tissue. I don't know what it was, it didn't say. And it saw all the blood cells, and then it saw the blood flowing through, but it showed the second fluid. The second major fluid wasn't flowing so fast. It was moving very slow. What is the second major fluid? That is correct. That is the lymphatic fluids. That is the mucousy fluids. The mucosa is part of that system. This is vital to understand the lymph system and the lymph fluids and the nature of those lymph fluids. Very, very important. So let's stop for a minute and think about this. When you have to go to the bathroom, you certainly go use a toilet. You put your waste in the toilet, at least in these countries, the European countries. These wastes are flushed down into the sewer pipes and then out into a septic tank. Or if you live in a city, the city has a big septic tank somewhere where all your wastes are going into. Now, waste must be broken down, or there's no way you can tolerate the odor and the decay of waste. Toxic. So you must have a way to deal with these. Well, God had that in mind. So he created the bacterium. Now the bacterium is what you always find in a sewer system. Am I not correct? Now, for those of you that understand septic tanks, it might be important for you to understand that that septic tank is full of bacteria, correct? Now, if your septic tank got full and backed up into the house, you could go to the pharmacy and buy a gallon of antibiotics, go out to your septic tank, pour the antibiotics in your septic tank, and that would clean your septic tank right up and you're ready to use it again. Something wrong with that picture? Absolutely. That would not clean the waste out of the septic tank. That's what bacteria is trying to do, is break it down fast enough so the solids will compress, and after a while you will need it cleaned because bacteria can only do so much, and then it'll keep doing their job somewhere else. But this little tank you've got in the yard has had it, and that's enough. Okay. Now, so if we kill the bacteria out of the septic tank, what's still left in the septic tank? That's right, all the waste. This is medical thinking, and I find it probably one of the most stupidest thinking that there is in medical thinking, and that is we kill the bacteria and we leave the waste. You're going to leave the toxic waste in the human body, but you're going to kill the bacteria that's breaking it down? That's insanity. That has led man to these worlds of cancer. If you ask what is the one thing that has led the aggressiveness of forming tumors and creating the damage to cells, it's going to be the use of antibiotics and the stupidity of trying to kill bacteria and forgetting about the waste. That's because medical thinking is predominantly focused on the blood. Get this, the blood is only 25% of the fluid, which we call interstitial fluids, meaning interstitial, flowing around the cells. Blood is only 25%. This is why the Mayo brothers, the famous Mayo brothers of the Mayo Clinic fame, made a statement that blood diagnosis is only 25% accurate. Why? Because blood is only 25% of interstitial fluid. What would 75% of your interstitial fluid flowing around every cell in your brain, your liver, your heart, your prostate, your ovaries, your feet, what would that fluid be? You hit it, the lymph fluids. The sewer system in your body is 3 times the size of your blood. That sewer system is your main immune system, by the way. You would never want to mess with your main immune system, would you? Even the blood dumps what it doesn't want into this lymph system. What's the spleen for? Anybody know? So your blood cleans itself into this sewer system. Very important, because your blood can't carry toxins in it, can it? And you stay alive. And we'll get to the big reason why here. So I'm giving you a little bit of a lymphatic discussion on the front of this because I find it difficult to explain what cancer is if you do not understand this lymph system. I'll tell you that right off. So, waste must be picked up at the cellular level. You've got 100 trillion cells and metabolizing and breaking and utilizing chemistry and eliminating waste. These wastes are picked up by the lymphatic capillaries, not the venous capillaries, the lymphatic capillaries, taken through the lymph vessels and off to the body's septic tanks. Your lymph vessels are your septic drain lines. That's your septic lines. That's your PVC sewer pipes in your house. That's what your lymph vessels are. Not too many people talk about your lymph vessels. A little deeper in the body, but anytime you see a cell, you're going to see those two fluids, blood and lymph. Now the lymph is a much thicker fluid than the blood. The blood is a thin fluid because it must move around the body in less than a minute. But the lymph fluid, no way. That is a lipid-based or cholesterol-based, a lipid-based fluid that is much more protective to the cell. Because remember, the body's just a bunch of cells and two major fluids. How many sides to chemistry are there? Then they find a couple of new elements the other day, named them some kind of goofy names, and I think we're up to 123, 126 elements that make up life, matter, or creation. They know there's a lot more elements to find, of course. So we know these elements make up all matter, so we have a lot of chemical compounds with taking all these. It's like a master chemist. Take a little carbon, take a little nitrogen, take a little oxygen, take a little hydrogen and oxygen, we got water, play around with these elements, and we make all this chemistry. Well, man decided to be God for a while, so he started breaking apart all these chemical bonds. In doing that, we now use the word free radical, because now we have chemistry that is very, very gnarly on you. This is bad. We have chemistry, we have no clue. We don't even know what all chemistry is antagonistic to, meaning that when you bring in chemistry in the human body that's not made from nature, it's going to be antagonistic to the chemistry in the human body. Kind of like isolate mercury, and now you not only have a neurotoxin, but you've got something very antagonistic to calcium and who knows what other elements. So you find that we have a tremendous amount of antagonistic chemistry that we have no clue. I'm a biochemist. I've worked with chemistry for years, and I can tell you, I don't even go there anymore. It's not worth it. We don't have the minds. We've been playing in the fields of dreams and not understanding the consequences of doing this. And so that's man, created some neat things, but also created some very bad things. And the species, we're just about to terminate the human species off the planet. If it wasn't for you great moms out there raising your children on raw foods, remembering cells genetically, pulling your babies out of this decay of kidney and adrenals and all these lymphatic problems, if it wasn't for you great moms, the human race would terminate. I think it was Ted Turner and a bunch of scientists. I heard where they were talking about the human race will not exist past 2025, just in time for the Social Security to end. Oh, well. But it's enough to say that the human race is in a major decline. There's a lot of misinformation. We're living longer, thanks to the medical profession. That's a bald-faced lie. Take a look at the obits. The kids are dying right and left. The teenagers are dying. 20-year-olds are dying. 30-year-olds are dying. You never saw 30-year-olds in the oncology ward of a hospital. Go up there now, and you got kid department of the cancer. Everybody's got it. You go up to the cardiac floor, you never saw 30, 40-year-old males, especially any females, and it's loaded now. Don't give me this. This is a bunch of crap that the AMA's shoving down your guys' throat, and it's time you stand up and take note that half of what you're being told isn't even true. So it's time you wake up, because your life can depend upon this knowledge, or knowledge similar to this, and how you save your body, or your body will be terminated, I guarantee you. So, going back to chemistry, of all the compounds and all the elements, how many sides does chemistry have to it? Well, not to get into a long dissertation, there's only two. So, there's only two sides to chemistry, there's only two major fluids of the human body, and everybody else's cells. How simple can that be? Keep in mind, there's a little bacteria, there's a little microbe activity, there's a little chemistry activity, but if you cut that fat off of there, what is the human body actually? A bunch of cells and two major fluids. One fluid feeds them, one fluid cleans them. So, from the cell, all your cell wastes are carried to where? Down the lymph vessels to where? A bunch of cells and two major fluids. One fluid feeds them, one fluid cleans them. So from the cell, all your cell wastes are carried to where? Down the lymph vessels to where? The septic tanks, just like your house at home. Septic tanks. And what is the septic tanks of the human body? Which, by the way, are full of bacteria if you haven't been on too many antibiotics. What would your septic tank be full of at home? Bacterium. What's the septic tank in your body's full of? Bacterium. What is the name of your septic tanks in the human body? You're right, your lymph nodes. And the lymph nodes is where wastes are broken down or damaged cells. This is why you see damaged or cancer cells in lymph nodes. Where else are they going to go? Your venous capillaries are too small to take the cell back into the blood system. Well, then how does a cell from your liver that has been damaged and become cancerous, how does that cell travel, let's say, to your lung? Or how does that cell, let's say an ovarian cancer somehow created brain cancer or lung cancer. How did a cell out of the ovary travel somehow mysteriously from the ovaries to the lungs? Explain that to me. It doesn't. This is why it's just a bunch of crap, the stuff you hear. Metastasized cancer. Cancer's moving. It's moving. This is the stupidity that exists out there, and don't fall into that, lovely ones, or you're going to not be happy with the treatments that they're offering you. This is the worst thing that ever happened to the human race, is the medical profession. Not the glory of it. There's no curative value. Give me one thing allopathy cures. One thing. I'll take about 2 hours and you find out and you call me, because there's nothing. Removing a woman's breast if she has a tumor in it is curing it? Not on your life. It'll grow back or right on the chest wall. Why? Because you never addressed the cause of why a tumor formed anywhere in your body. If you don't address the cause of why tumors form and you cut the tumor out, you're going to grow another one guaranteed. Because why? What's going on here? So, understanding the lymph system is vital, because tumors are not of the blood, are they? Matter of fact, most tumors you're going to see 25% blood, 75% lymph. Most cysts, 25% blood, 75% a big juicy pimple, 75% lymph, 25% blood. What could these two fluids be? They're the fluids that flow around your cells. So if you have fluids that are flowing around your cells that are backing up on you, you're going to see a swelling. You're also going to hold water in those areas because of the nature of the chemistry that wastes are, that cellular wastes are. And this is where the kicker is. This is what you have to learn. That there's only two sides of chemistry. You don't have to understand chemistry. Just understand that you have the male side of chemistry and the female side of chemistry. The male side of chemistry is the corrosive side of chemistry. The female side of chemistry is the healing side of chemistry. Males love to tear things apart and see how they're made, and women love to rebuild things and make things. It's the nature of the two sides. You get a male with a little female, then you have an artist, you have a singer, a dancer, absolutely. But it's his female side that makes him creative. It's his male side that likes to tinker and tear things apart and rebuild things. The women are always the singers, the dancers, the artists, the quilt makers. Get a woman that's a lot of male, then she's going to act more corrosive. No question about it. She's going to say, honey, front and center. And then your female side's going to say, I love you, honey. Or you're going to have a fight. Now, understanding that lymph system, I can't even begin to tell you how vital that is. And the theory of massage therapy and allopathy is ridiculous, does not apply. They're going to have to figure out something else to tell you. Because from the lymph nodes, now the tonsils and adenoids are, guess what? Lymph nodes. Now, suddenly I hear a lot of people without tonsils. Matter of fact, what is the appendix? Oh, you're right on. The lymph node to the colon. These are all lymph tissues. Now, what would happen if your septic tank was full and you had a guy come out and he said, sir, your septic tank is full. We're going to have to remove it. And you say, well, don't I need a septic tank? I mean, I need to have something. No, you don't need a septic tank. I'll just all go on the ground. You're okay. Okay. All right. So somebody removes your septic tank and you keep using and flushing your toilet. Can you imagine what's going to happen in your house? It's going to back up, isn't it? Because there's nothing out there. Your elimination of your waste have been terminated, have been cut. So that means waste start backing up from that point back. So when you remove your tonsils, guess what? That's why you get the stiff necks, the deteriorated C-spines, the pressure of lymph called glaucoma. That's why you see the cataracts, cholesterol plaquing. That's why you see the brain lesions, the brain tumors. That's why you see these things, because you're not moving lymph. And you can't remove swollen lymph nodes. What do you do when your septic tank's full? You clean it out. What is wrong with allopathic thinking? These guys are insane, some of them. You cannot remove lymph nodes. And are you going to find a cancer cell in a lymph node? Where else would you want to see a cancerous cell? Where else would you expect the body to deal with these cells? In your blood? Impossible. Now, you can damage blood cells and become cancer cells. They call it leukemia, one of the more easier cancers for health programs to eliminate. It's most of the cancers, 99% of most cancers are lymphomas. Whether they're melanomas, I don't care what cancer you want to call them, lung, ovarian, I don't care what fancy name you put on them, they're lymphomas. These are tumors. These are cellular wastes damaging the cell. What happens if you forget to change the diaper on a little baby? They get a real burn, a real rash on their bottom, right? Now, what could be doing that, I wonder? Well, let's go back to the two sides of chemistry. Male chemistry, acids, corrosive in nature. You want to know what an acid is? Just drink a Coca-Cola. Phosphoric acid, carbonic acids, 3 pH, real hot. 3 pH is Coca. Most Coke, I think, is even hotter. Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, all around 3 pH. Gatorade, Minnesota School of Dentistry, Gatorade, 2.85 pH. Why in the world would a company sell an acid drink to people that are creating acidosis by all their activity, and they need to hydrate with base chemistry? Why would they sell them an acid? That's a serious violation of man's health right there. I think that company should be looked at. This is a serious problem. So you have to understand that the corrosive side of chemistry is indeed called acids. And acids, just pour a little battery acid on your skin and see what you think. No? Don't feel too good? We know what acids feel like, don't we? Ow! Arthritis, ow! Fibromyalgia, ow! Lupus, ow! 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 I hurt all over. What is that? Well, there's only two sides of chemistry. Pick one. You're going to be 50% right. Absolutely. It is the acid side of chemistry. When you're acidic in the emergency room, I will tell you that all ER visits are acidosis. Spend a lot of years in and out of ERs working. And I can tell you that it's all acidosis, whether it's trauma-related or dietary-related. What's the first thing we do in the ER when we see someone like this? As a matter of fact, the great guys of the paramedics or EMTs, they already started one, didn't they? Started an IV. And what do we use? Normal saline. Why? Because it's a sodium solution that's similar in chemistry to the blood. And what does this do? It alkalizes. Blood is the female side of chemistry. Blood is base, or what they call alkaline chemistry. The blood can't deal with acids. The acids are the corrosive side of chemistry. What happens if your blood gets acidic? We'll wait here 4 minutes and then I'll put flowers on your grave. So is it common sense to think that your body produces several pounds of acid waste at the cellular level every day from 100 trillion cells? How does your body protect itself and get rid of these acids? Because if you don't stop an acid, it'll break you down till death. Acids win, you lose. And the game is only between two sides of chemistry. You've got acid side of chemistry, you've got base, or what they call alkaline side of chemistry. The alkaline is the healing female side. That's why bloodletting. That's why you bleed. That's why you have a monthly period as a woman. It cleans. Blood cleans. It's alkaline. It washes the acids away. But estrogen is acidic to create that problem. So you see acid and base chemistry intertwined together. But this is a base chemistry planet. Used to be at this atmospheric level 80% base, 20% acid chemistry. And most fruits and vegetables, 80% base chemistry, 20% acid chemistry. Now, why is the predominant ingestion and the living in base chemistry important? Because acids are corrosive. Now, there was a warning. I just talked to someone here on the YouTube that moved to LA. We have a lot of rock and rollers in LA, and a lot of them are moving out. one great guy there, he's moving from L.A. to South Africa. Now, what is it about L.A.? The other day on Fox News, it's been almost a year now, Shepard Smith said, hey, if you live in L.A., move out if you're 70 years or older because lung cancer is skyrocketing. Why? Well, what's that big mushroom cloud above L.A.? An acid mushroom cloud. So the air is getting more acidic. National Geographic did a special on all the Appalachian Trail. And they were showing the trail up through the states, and they were visiting some park rangers who were testing the water and the streams and the lakes, and they said, what are you doing? And the park ranger said, well, look at that frog down there. And the camera looks down, and there's this three-legged frog. So, well, what's going on there with that mutation? He says, well, we're seeing a lot of mutation of fish and frogs. And the interviewer from National Geographic said, well, why? And the park ranger said, acid rain. Where are these acids coming from? They're the byproducts. All this bombing, acids. Look at what we've done to these people. And not just us. I mean, all these bombs, these are very serious. These troops coming home, I love our troops. I feel for them. Now it's time that our military make our government stand up and be honest. It's time that our military comes in and helps us because our government has lost its friggin' mind. It's unbelievable. And they're trying to steal your rights away every day, including the right to treat yourself as you wish. They got your kids. They'll take your kids and run them through chemo and radiation. Doesn't matter if it kills them because they think they control your sovereignty rights. And we have serious troubles in this country. So, very important to understand, though, what acids are in chemistry and the base side of chemistry. So blood is always base, very healing, soothing. Acids are very corrosive and causes pain and swelling. So acidosis is a condition that medical doctors lightly term inflammation. Inflammation is an immune response of the human body to what? And the key word is mostly proteins/acids, predominantly. So this is vital to understand because when you have cancer, what medium do you think is involved? Base chemistry, the healing side, or do you have an acid condition? That's right, you have an acid condition. You know, CNN did a special on cancer years ago, and a general question to a chemist about acids, and this was ran on CNN. And this interviewer asked this chemist, what causes cancer? He said, that's easy to understand. Certain things damage cells, and then cells mutate this damage. So the interviewer said, well, that makes sense. And I'm thinking, like in genetics, how do you weaken cells anyway in the first place? How do you get to your cells and weaken them? Well, there's only two fluids that touch every cell. Outside of that, you got genetic memories of a cell, and you have external trauma. Take away those two things to a cell, and you have the two major fluids that directly contact every cell. And there's only two sides to chemistry. Can't be much simpler, folks. So you have to understand what we're talking about. And view these videos on YouTube and get a gist, because you'll find the simplicity of this thing, and that you hold the key and the power to find a remedy for yourself. And you have to walk without fear, walk with knowledge, because fear is utilized by allopathy to control you. It's time you break that fear and gain knowledge. The government does the same thing to you. Anytime they can keep you in fear, they control you. People do it to each other all the time. No, we don't need to live life that way anymore. We need to live life with love, respect, humility, joy, happiness, ecstasy. Enjoy your right to live and have fun on this planet. Not to live in a dictatorship, which most countries are in a semi-dictatorship. We are here. Like it or not, the president is a dictator, big time. He only makes you think he's not, but of course he's acting for the powers to be. Now, and important again to understand, the body's nothing but a bunch of cells, two major fluids touch every cell, and there's only two sides to chemistry. These two sides of chemistry, one's base, which is the predominant chemistry on this planet. The other one is acids, which is the corrosive side of chemistry. Now, when you look at cellular waste, most byproducts of chemical combustion, chemical activity, chemical interactions are acids, most of them. And you see that in industry, you see it in car exhaust, you see it in exhalation, you see it at the cellular level. So most cell wastes are acids. Knowing the nature of acids, what happens if you can't remove acids? Well, that's what this interviewer was talking to this chemist. And this interviewer said, Mr. Chemist, what kind of things damage cells? And this chemist looked right in the camera. And he said, well, acids, of course. So, who is the one physician that can tell you you have cancer? One clue, not an oncologist. Pathologist. That's what a pathologist is for. He works in the field of histology. What is involved in that? The staining of a cell. Why? Because they want a cell. That's why there's a biopsy. We don't care about fluid in a tumor. We know what that is, don't we? Acid lymph fluid. And it may be a little blood. But what is cancerous? It's a cell that's been damaged. Well, what damages a cell? What makes a vaginal atypical cell? What makes any atypical cell in the body? That's a cell walking down the road to cancer. What side of chemistry does that? They both can't hurt you, although you get up some strong alkalis maybe. Acids. And these acids that damage the cells of your body are the same acids your cells are pooping. It's when these acids build up intracellular. That's in the cell. Imagine holding stool and urine for years. Going to burn your bladder a little bit? Going to burn your kidneys a little bit? Oh, I can feel it already. Absolutely. Absolutely. Acids will rip you apart. Look what it does to a baby's bottom. Burns it, and that's within an hour or so. Imagine keeping these acids in your body for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. Keeping a baby's diaper on them for 70 years, day in and day out, what do you think? Not a pretty picture. Well, the reason you're able to do that without being aware of its damage is because of your body's great design from the Supreme Being and its ability to fight acids. Your body cannot be acidic and survive. Go to any nursing home and you'll find one room after another. Acidosis, acidosis, acidosis. And then they march them down to the cafeteria and give them an acid meal. There's no way they're coming out of this, and I pull plenty of people out of nursing homes. You cannot do it eating acids when your body is acidic. These are not the foods designed for man. Man cannot deal with acid food eating, and the most acid foods are dairy products that are pasteurized and animal products. Beans are acidic. Most grains are acidic. Most of the food man eats has an acid ash in the ending side of that. Not good, because creating acidosis in the body from diet then breaks down the body and backs up this gigantic sewer system. Now, we didn't tell you where your lymph nodes clean their wastes away. We did not touch on that, and that's important to understand. Where from the lymph nodes does your cellular waste go? How do we get this out of the body? Do we reabsorb acids into the blood? Well, we can't do that, and we can't convert all acids to base, and we can't bring the blood down from the 7.4 pH. If I dump pounds of acids that are about 3 pH into your blood, it wouldn't be good. Well, what is the bacterial job in a lymph node for? Break down acids, isn't it? After appropriate bacterial action of the lymph nodes, by the time these acids hit your three kidneys, then these acids should be around 6 or so pH. Much better on the kidneys than 3. Let's see, 6 pH is what? Let's see, there's 4, which is 10, 100, 1,000 times hotter or cooler than they were at the cellular level. 1,000 times cooler. That's good. Absolutely. I'd rather have 6 pH hit my kidneys than 3 pH. That's pretty hot. 3 pH. Think of Coca-Cola. So your 3 kidneys are the key eliminative organs of cellular waste. And these wastes must be eliminated out of your 3 kidneys no matter what anybody says. The average person has lost their ability to filter their cellular wastes out of their body through their kidneys. Reason? High protein diets predominantly. This has also had a residual effect of what sits on top of the kidneys and what controls the kidneys. The adrenal glands. There isn't one person, my guess, in this world that doesn't have some degree of kidney and adrenal weakness. The babies, massive, chronic kidney and adrenal weaknesses. Blood pressure 70 over. When you check your blood pressure, your systolic is your adrenal glands, your diastolic is your kidneys. Check both arms, you have 2 kidneys and 2 adrenal glands. What would be your 3rd kidney? Your skin. So when you see eczema, psoriasis, acne, what is that? Something flying in from Moose Jaw, Alaska? Not at all. That's your lymph system oozing out your skin. Why does it look red and bloody and mucousy and all that? Acids. Lymph. Acids. And it'll break your skin down like acids will break anything down. And if you're not filtering out of your 2 kidneys, you're going to be filtering out of your skin. And if you have a thyroid weakness, you can't get enough body temperature to sweat, you're going to hold everybody in. And like I said, there is protection that your body offers itself against acids. Adrenal steroids are the first assault on acids, like cortisol, progesterone. All these are cortical, cholesterol-based, LDL-based steroids. So does that give you a clue that if the adrenal steroids aren't doing it, what's next? LDL directly. Now, every cell wall in your body is full of HDL, high-density lipids. Why? Protects the cell from acids. It's only when acids develop intracellular that you see the mutation of the mitochondria, DNA, chromosomes, blah, 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 blah. On the outside is just the word inflammation where you see pain and swelling. After a while, you'll create cell constipation and a big serious time. So this is why you see years before you see cell mutation in an acid medium, because there is protection offered by the body. There's 2 main antacids of the human body. There's cholesterol, that's the #1 antacid of the human body. What would be the second one? Now, not all you smart people answer first because a lot of you know this. Calcium. And it'll suck it out of every bone, tooth, connective tissue you have to fight acids, because if acids win, you lose. Game's over. So I'm going to cut this video. I'm out of time, and I'm going to add to this video and keep going down this road of cancer so we can touch on the various cancers and what you find remedy for them. But I will tell you, you must understand acids. Most acids at the cellular level are 3 pH. There is a scale, a pH scale. We use this pH or litmus paper to determine the pH of the human body, or the pH of your pool, or the pH of anything. The pH scale is from 0 to 14. 0 to 7 is considered the acid side, 7 neutral, 7 to 14 the base or alkaline side. 7.4 is the blood. Not real base chemistry, but certainly base chemistry. If it gets down to 7, you better find a hospital, because I'll be amazed if you make it. Getting on the acid side, you don't have long to live, guaranteed. So big problem there. Now, cellular acids are 3 pH. Hydrochloric acid in your stomach is somewhere between 1.8 and 2 pH. That's 10 times hotter than cell waste. 10 times. So stomach acid is 10 times roughly or so hotter than Coca-Cola. Now, how about battery acid? We know you don't stick a finger in battery acid because it'll strip the skin right off of it. That's 1 pH. That's 10 times hotter than hydrochloric acid and 100 times hotter than a Coke. Ew, that's hot, right? Ask yourself chemotherapy. What is chemotherapy? Let's see. Most chemo, old chemo was closer to 1. I've seen 1.2, I've seen 1.5. Most modern chemo is less acidic, 1.5 to 2. I've got a chemo up here on the desk that's 2 pH. Okay, hydrochloric acid. 10 times hotter than the acid that damaged the cell in the first place. So let me see. Does this make sense? That acids damage cells and create a cancer cell, and that the remedy to that allopathically is an acid 10 to 50 times hotter than the acid that damaged it in the first place. Make sense? Not on your life. When we wake up to this, it will be a criminal. It'll be a criminal offense to administer chemotherapy or radiation therapy knowing, which they already know, that it damages cells. So all you Christians that are fighting for this, the stem cell and saving all this, what about all the other cells that are damaged and killed with chemo and radiation? Not smart, is it? And that's where a lot of you walk right up to, like cattle to the slaughter, and are infiltrated with chemotherapy because we don't have anything else but to burn, to poison, or to extract. Better to have a surgery and stay away from the other two, or very serious problems. The percentage rate of survival is what we said earlier. Hard to tell because the truth isn't out there. FDA, somewhere around 8%, maybe if we stretch it, 10% of the people that undergo that survive. 50, that would, to me, 50% would be a laugh. There's no way. I've spent 40 years of my life in developing health programs for people, and most people come running in here have cancer because they're scared. They tried allopathy and now they've been released. You haven't got long to live. We get this constantly in here. We get the after effects. Very few people come in here that's smart enough to come to us before. You know, we don't treat cancer. We have nothing to do with that. That's an illusionary disease. There's no such thing. You have damaged cells. 5 minutes coming. You have damaged cells by acids, and you must eliminate these acids if you want to regenerate those cells or those tissues. We do it every day here in our health programs. We regenerate the human body. We remove the tumors, the cysts, because this is all lymph stagnation. Lymph stagnation from kidneys that don't filter. So I've had to move a little fast on this video. I only have a limited amount of time to cut all these videos that I'm trying to cut for you guys. But I'm telling you, if you have cancer, you smarten up and grab the bull by the horns. Take the responsibility for your own life. I'll get into diets. I'll get into individual cancers as we add on to this video. And so thank you for now. I'll be back and join you probably tomorrow, and we'll add to this, and we'll go on down that road of cancer and what it is, what it really is, and what does it mean to you, and what you have to simply do to find a remedy to this. And the first thing is to lose your fear and gain knowledge. Thank you so much, and I will add on to this soon. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. How are we? I want to continue this video. Basically, we probably could call this part 2 if you want. I want to continue this video on cancer. Yesterday, I was kind of putting it out to you pretty strongly there. You know, when you sit in my position, 40 years as a healer, naturopathic degree, biochemistry degree, herbal degree, fitness degrees. I've had a ton of degrees. And none of them means nothing because you learn nothing in school. You learn some basic stuff. Where you learn is working with people over 40 years. And my friend Dr. Jensen worked with people over 75 years. And when you work in this field, our goal is always regeneration of tissue and cellular genetic remembering. You know, when you look at cells, and our discussion in part 1 was a breakdown of the human body, and this is essential for you to learn. It is essential for you to lose the fear when it comes to cancer, any cancer. I don't care, they fear pancreatic cancer. We've had so many people overcome their pancreatic cancers through these health programs. Do we treat cancer? No. We don't want anything to do with diseases because they don't exist. And as soon as you realize that diseases are an illusionary concept by the allopathic community, that they're feverishly taking everybody's money and all these labs trying to find a cause, we've all known the causes of these things for 100 years. And there's always that carrot in front of a person's nose. We're going to find a cure for diabetes. We're going to find a cure. This is all crap. This is all ridiculous, illusionary bull crap. And it keeps the public in control. It keeps you shoveling out tons of money, and it keeps you in pain and suffering, and eventually your death. And this is why you must take your health in your own hands and learn the rules of the road. You know, this earth is the biosphere, as I've talked about, the laboratory where it is all being done. Not man, God. And so when you take a look at this planet and you compare our species, you'll find us as a frugivorous species. According to National Geographic and many other anthropologists, we are a tropical species, a frugivorous species, another one who is a fruit-consuming species. Very important to understand that, because we've kind of traveled or migrated, if you will, from tropical regions into the northern climates. And this has created serious problems. Look at some of these arid countries where you have deserts and very few food sources. Africa, a good case where starvation is all over the place. So man has to turn and understand what species he belongs to and why the foods he's been consuming has been hurting him, because we don't look at our lifestyles as having any causative factors to our suffering. And I have to laugh at that, because it's been hundreds of years that healers around the globe have told man to get away from proteins, to get away from grains, to get away from the crap dairy products, especially after you pasteurize them. Man's the only vertebrate that drinks milk after he's weaned. After age 2, most people around the world can't digest milk anymore because they lose lactase. So why would you drink milk, which is nothing but clogging and mucus forming? I've always said, if you have a tumor and you want to see it grow, just drink a glass of milk and watch your tumor grow, because it'll sure grow. If you have tumors in your body and you want them to grow, just drink dairy products, cheese, ice cream, yogurts, kefirs, milks. These are the most mucosic or mucus-forming foods on this planet. There's nothing healthy about pasteurized milk. The chemistry is so bonded, the body has a very difficult time breaking this apart. Everybody says, drink milk for calcium. What they don't tell you is after you ultra-pasteurize it, you can forget the calcium. It's bonded so tightly with other metals and aminos that your body can't use them. So it becomes a foreign protein. This is why. Plus, who drinks another animal's milk that's 4 or 5 times bigger than they are? The chemistry ratios are totally different in cow's milk than they are in human's milk. Thank you. This is why Dr. Jensen promoted goat's milk. Why would you drink milk after you're supposed to be weaned in the first place? And those babies that come in here with cancer, we've got to get their health issues back in line. We put them on fruit juices. And suddenly their tumors disappear. They start looking healthier. Their brain turns on. Their nervous system turns on. Because what people don't realize is the bulk of nutrition in nature is found in the fruits and berries. This is where the bulk of nutrition is, not in the grass, not in the barks, but in the fruits and berries. This is electrical food. This is nutritive food. And so very important, but it's very important that you understand the two sides of chemistry, and that fruits and berries and vegetables are predominantly the base or female side of chemistry. You can't eliminate at the cellular level pounds of cellular acids every day and eat acid food and expect to be healthy and happy because you're living in the world of the corrosive side of chemistry. And you can't stop an acid with more acids. Oncology has not learned that. Oncology needs to take a trip to the emergency room doctors and have them explain to oncologists why we use normal saline, not just to keep the vein open. There's another reason why we use normal saline, and that is to start the alkalizing process. Because if you don't start alkalizing the body that's full of pain and swelling, they're not going to get rid of the pain and swelling, because the pain and swelling is an acid condition of the human body. It's not an automatic autoimmune problem. Any medical doctor that uses the term autoimmune has no clue about what causes anything. He's living in a surreal world of unconsciousness, because there's no such thing as autoimmune problem. Autoimmune problems exist when no one knows what the problem really is. Oh, diabetes, it's an autoimmune problem. Cancer, an autoimmune problem. You're going to wake up to an extreme ignorant modality, and that is the allopathic community. No offense to you medical doctors in any stretch of the imagination, but last year, 1 million deaths occurred under the tutelage of allopathic community. 1 million people died last year, and some people estimate it could be double that. Naturopathically, in our holistic field, none. Now, if you're going to Las Vegas and gambling on your life, and you have a modality that's killed over 1 million people every year, and one that kills none, which one you gonna bet your life on? So this is the thing you've got to wake up to. We've been brainwashed in thinking this narcissistic community of fine, educated people have the knowledge and awareness, and if they don't, we'll soon get it, because we have all these chemists and all these people in the laboratories. The problem is these people are misguided, misled, uneducated, and they don't have the ability to see. They don't have the ability to put everything together. Most of you put together jigsaw puzzles, right, where you have a bunch of pieces and you have a picture to look at. I've always said the allopathic community is trying to put together this jigsaw puzzle of health without the picture. Naturopaths have the picture before, and it's how you look. It's how you're trained to see and look at the body and nature and the laws of nature. We humans break every law of nature there is, from food combinations to physics. We break every law and then wonder why we're sick and suffering. Why half of our money or more. I had a lady with a right breast cancer. They removed her right breast, removed her right kidney, so she can't eliminate on the right side. Her leg swelled up, and she lived in her van in McDonald's parking lots and Walmart parking lots because the medical profession stole all her money from surgery and everything else. She was middle class down to homeless. This is the kind of healthcare system we have, and Obama has forced the Americans to buy into, is a system that can't cure anything, that makes the world think they're the smartest people on the planet, and yet they are actually the opposite. And so when it comes to health issues, I will say this about allopathy. Surgery and emergency medicine should be the limitation of allopathy. And when emergency physicians start learning a lot of our tools that we have in nature, we'll even excel in emergency medicine, especially when it comes to burns. Allopathy is brutal when it comes to burns, and the end result is always mutation. In our field, we can get your skin to grow back nice as you please with no scarring or anything. From first, second, and third degree burns. So people don't understand the level that our field has to offer people, and that is the regeneration of tissue or cells. And in that process, you will find genetic remembering of cells. In other words, the genetics, you have to understand genetics in today's world. You have to understand what is genetics and how it affects cells and how it affects your performance, your happiness, and all this. Because genetically speaking, we're losing our bowels, we're losing our kidneys, we're losing our endocrine glands. And that is the bulk of how the body eliminates and functions totally. And we're losing that. Neurologically, we're down like we've never been before. So when we enter surgeries, we go down even more. And we have serious problems from anesthesia. We have serious problems in our world now, in our babies. Like I said, take a look at the obits. Cancer's roaring. So you have people like St. Jude marching these kids in and filling them full of chemo and stuff. No, there's a better way, and you don't have to kill your patients to try to make them better. Does it make sense to kill cells when cells make up your body? Does it make sense that cells that are damaged by acids, which become atypical or cancer cells, and then we use a stronger acid to try to terminate them, do you think your other cells are going to just sit by and say, okay, acid, pass by and go cake those cells? This is a bunch of crap, and you don't train acids to attack specific cells. That's ridiculous. This is a lot of hype out there. Metastasized cancer, let me tell you, most metastasized cancer is created directly by the allopathic community's use of radiation therapy and chemotherapy. When you damage cells, they become your next cancer. Why would you damage all the cells or potential all the cells of the human body to try to overcome cancer when it creates more cancer? Does it make sense to treat cancer with cancer-causing treatments? I mean, chemo and radiation are the top cancer-causing treatments. And yet, we belly up to that. We march right in and take them in, put a port, let's go. How many people die from subclavian ports in terms of aortic aneurysms? How many people die from aortic aneurysms from putting chemo right into the aorta? Putting this battery acid, almost, is between hydrochloric, even hydrochloric acid can't stand in the stomach without ulcerating it, or the small bowel. Acids break down tissue. And so you must learn the two sides of chemistry. You must learn of the body's gigantic lymph system. This lymph system is responsible for all the skin conditions, all the fibromyalgia, lupus, for all the cysts, the tumors, all the pimples, the boils, the cysts, responsible for all the arthritises. Everything you can name, you'll trace right down to what acids do to the human body and what the human body has to do to fight it. And the two antacids I've talked about in part one is cholesterol and calcium. How many people have cholesterol problems? Why? What is cholesterol? Oh, one's bad, you're bad cholesterol. That is unawareness. When someone tells you your bad cholesterol is up, that's unawareness. There's no such thing as bad cholesterol. These cholesterols have a specific function in the human body. And when you learn that it's the body's main antacid, cell phospholipids, HDL, LDL, adrenal steroids, and the lipid-based lymphatic fluids dominate the human body, remember, by 75%. There's nothing outside the world that's coming into you and hurting you. This is everything you're creating in your body, and now you have to learn how to uncreate it. And you can uncreate it, thank God, as you created this. And once you understand this and understand the rules of health, because there are rules to health, we are not omnivores. We cannot eat like billy goats. Omnivores are dogs, hogs, bears, and chickens. And I've not seen too many humans that looks like dogs, hogs, bears, or chickens. If they're anything, we look like primates. And primates are frugivores, a tropical species, and we're more refined than that. There's no other food source that man can deal with. And when you eat a high level of fruit, you'll start to get away even from vegetables. These things that we're far away from herbivores, and herbivores are your horses, your cows, your elephants. These animals have a minimum of 4 stomachs, most of them or more. Their GI tract is 30 times the length of their spine. Ours are only 12. We only have 1 stomach. So there's a huge difference. We don't have the grinders to grind that cellulose. So there's big differences between species, and man has to learn what species he belongs to and get our act together. Because it's interesting how in our health programs, when we put you on a high fruit diet, everything you have seems to disappear and health returns to the body. You have tumors, they come out of the body. You have damaged cells, they're carried away and replaced. It is amazing to see your body regenerate. But is it really amazing? That's what God does. You cut yourself, don't you heal and rebuild? Absolutely. And you can do that at any level. What stops the body from healing itself? Acids. There's only 2 sides of chemistry, pick one. There's only 2 major fluids of the human body, pick one. And everybody else is cells. Sure, we have the microbial kingdom. Most of them are our friends, but it's all about culturing medium. There are some gnarly bacteria out there, there surely are. But you know there's a law in nature, and all people should learn this, including the medical community, and it's a simple law. The strong survive, the weak are consumed. Is that not true? The weak are terminated in nature. We can't procreate. Nature cannot afford to procreate its weaknesses and have a strong biosphere to support this many different life forms. Would you not agree? Well, then why is man always trying to keep his weaknesses on board? There's some mutated babies that are so bad, we're just sucking down people's money and doing multiple surgeries on them. If I'm a soul trapped in a body that's mutated, get me out of it. Let me go so I can get another body that's healthier. We don't look spiritually at things. We're so engrossed physically. Man has taken your consciousness and locked it in physically, so you can't grow. You're thinking, and this is the trouble with men, you're too focused. You know that old saying, you can't see the forest for the trees? You get too locked into nano levels, you just lost your perspective of life. And if you want a perspective in life, you must develop your spirituality. You must step back from your thoughts and your desires and take a look. Smell the roses. Stop thinking for a while. Stop planning. Stop buying. Stop watching TV and get back and just go, wow, look, there's life going on out there. Look at those beautiful flowers. Look at color. Look how beautiful color is. Just color in itself. All the multiple colors. How beautiful. The smells of flowers and scents. How beautiful. You know, so start touching that side. If you've got cancer, I don't care if it's lung, bone, blood, it doesn't matter what cancer in the location. Health is the only antidote. Health is the only remedy you have. Return your cells to a healthy condition because cancer is of a cell. You can have tumors. Tumors is just a pocket of fluid. What kind of fluid do you think you find in tumors? The same thing in cysts, the same thing in boils? Absolutely. What fluid do you have in there? Interstitial fluid. Interstitial fluid in the human body is blood and lymph. Comes down to that simplicity of that thing. Don't be fooled, because your life is in your hands. Literally, we are barbaric in terms of the healing modalities, basically, that you find. And when you get into the natural health field, everybody here is here to help you, make you feel good. Chiropractics, massage, acupuncture, these are all great therapeutic modalities. But if you want a remedy, if you want your body healthy where you have no ills, no complaints, no tumors, no inflammation, then you've got to understand what causes all that. And all your body is just a bunch of cells and two major fluids, and there's only two sides to chemistry. There's not anything much simpler than that. Pick which side of the chemistry is going to hurt you, which we know what that is already. Just go out and buy muriatic acid at Home Depot and pour it on your hands. See what you say. You know, I took IV therapy. I wanted to learn a lot about cardiac work and emergency medicine, so I took my ACLS, and I took IV therapy and worked in nuclear medicine, cardiopulmonary, just for the fun of it. I needed some money on the side anyway, and so it was interesting when I took IV therapy at the local nursing school. When we got to chemotherapy, the nurse practitioner said, well, don't spill chemo on a person's skin. So I asked her, why not? And she said, well, it'll burn a hole on the skin. And I said, well, what's your skin made of? And she said, cells. I said, but you want to introduce this same acid solution into the vascular walls. What's your vascular walls made of? Cells. And she didn't like me very well because she was promoting the use of an acid that kills most people. If you think most people survive chemo, I suggest that we have some Senate hearings and we go and tear these CDC centers apart and show you all the lies and the crap that's going on there. A lot of great medical doctors now are exposing the truth. You get online and you start looking up. I've got a thick file that I was prepared to use in a court of law against the allopathic community of the damage to tissue, the damage to humans that they've created. For what end? They still can't cure anything. They still don't understand what causes anything. And what good is that? And yet, financially, they're raking. These hospitals, some of them are going crazy. We have a hospital in this town that needs to be, charged with some criminal activity, extortion, racketeering, charged $9,000 for one chest x-ray and an EKG. That hospital needs to lose their license, and that's it. You cannot continue to rip off men. There's no love there. Notice allopathy. I've always said one of the coldest women I've seen on this planet is a female oncologist. Cold as ice. I can tell you, this is about love, beauty, joy, happiness, and health. If you don't go along with that, then enjoy the other side of the ride, because it is not fun. It's full of pain, it's full of anxiety, it's full of depression, it's full of fear, and that's not the side of life you want to live on if you want to enjoy the planet. If you want to enjoy the planet, learn the laws of health, and you will find a very fun time on the planet. But right now, you must wake up, and if you have cancer, understand simply what it is. Leukemias are probably your easier cancers. A lot of people don't understand that, but blood is the easiest system to clean up. In our clinic, our focus is on the lymph system. But by focusing on the lymph system, the blood is assured to get cleaned up. Easy. One of the hardest cancers you'll find is your bone cancers or metastasized cancers where you've allowed chemo, acids running through your veins that are stronger than the acids that cause this problem. And this is where you start breaking down everywhere cells are weak, genetically or otherwise. That's where your hot spots are. That's where all the acids are accumulating. That's where you tend to see your next cancers. And it's just because the acid cells didn't travel from one part of your body to another party, scoot into tissue somehow and make your brother cells cancer. That's insane. I mean, these guys are putting out theories and crap that's impossible. So all I can tell you is that you must learn the laws of health, and that's what this website is about. This website or this particular YouTube channel is for you. It's about health. It's not about diseases. It's not about treating diseases. This is about how do you get a body that's ravaged with acids, that cells have mutated, that you're full of pain and swelling, the skin is erupted all over the place with psoriasis or eczema or whatever, your joints are distended and torn, you've lost calcium, you're depressed, you've got anxieties because your adrenals are down, your lower back's going down, your prostate's going, your ovaries are removed or going. How do you come back from that? Well, what's causing that? Well, there's only two sides to chemistry and only two major fluids of the human body and everybody else's cells. Parasites are just they're culturing medium. You offer garbage, expect the garbage cleaners to come in, and you can't keep them out, and you don't want to. Because this is serious. Your serious problems we see here is those that have used antibiotics. All your arthritises, RA in particular, heavy use of antibiotics, killing your bacteria in your body, oh yeah? Creating exceptional fungal growth, which leaves uric acid in the body. Oh, I mean, it's a mess. So my communication to the allopathic community is stop, learn, grow, and let's all work together in healing this planet. Of course, the World Health Organization feels that we're overpopulated by 90%. So 90% of you guys must be eliminated. According to the World Health Organization, this is their statement. Jesse Ventura ran a whole show on that one time. Well, they're right in a way that we're populating this planet at a rate that the planet can't sustain. And we can't lose all our rainforests and can't lose all our oxygen because we want to populate the world like ants or something. We've got to be smarter, more spiritual, more awakened, more aware, more happy, stronger in our own individuality. And that's what you must become if you want to overcome any of these cancers that are out there. And remember, it isn't a disease. They use the word, which is bullcrap. It isn't a disease. It doesn't fly in and it doesn't travel around the land looking for people to attack. That's all nonsense. It doesn't exist. Reality is science as much as we know. Chemistry and physics dominate this planet. Everything is chemistry, and of course all chemistry is just frequencies of electromagnetic energy. Hello? So, learn, grow. That's why I'm shooting this video. I'm a little strong with it, but I see thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And it's not that little percent that don't make it allopathically. There's a large, you just start looking around at how many people, how many movie stars do you know that went to the treatment of allopathy, and how many of them are still living? Patrick Swayze, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to fight this. I'm going to be stronger than the cancer. You're not stronger than acids, and especially the acids that allopathy uses. No tissue in your body is stronger than that. You can't sustain healthy tissue in an acid environment. Well, what are they thinking? So, Tony Snow, all these people are now dead. Well, wait a minute. I thought according to Jane Velez Mitchell, 90% of the people survive chemo. Do you see that? No, you do not see that. What you see is the bulk of the people die. I remember one guy had a lymphoma. Of course, a lymphoma is all the cancers, but all right, he had a lymphoma. I can't remember the location. He came in to see me, wanted to try our health programs. It was an experimental group of chemotherapy of 432 people. I think he cleaned the lymphoma. He got his lymph system cleaned up, and the tumors cleaned out of him in about 3 months. And some nurse saw him a few years later and asked him, said, I remember you. You were in this experimental chemotherapy group I managed. And she said, I can't believe you're still alive. He said, why? She said, well, everyone in the group is dead. Now, where's that 95%? All right, I hear this over and over again. The bulk of these experimental chemotherapy group dies. What are we doing? And health programs, naturopathically, 95% of those people would still be alive. Can't save everybody, but certainly you can save the bulk of these people who want to live. Does it require extreme diet change? Absolutely. Take a look at this. This is from the American Cancer Society in 1986. I hope you can see that. 1986, the American Cancer Society came out and said, you know, fruits and vegetables is what you should be eating if you have cancer and if you want to avoid cancer. Hello, now you can have rattlesnake, kangaroo, buffalo, you can have anything you want. Really? And nothing about diet. I love this when a medical doctor says, nothing about your diet can affect diseases. This is a person that needs to surrender their degree and go quietly away and find a job somewhere in an office somewhere, maybe being a bookkeeper, because this is insanity. And any medical doctor would think that it doesn't deserve to be a medical doctor. This is chemistry, boys. This is chemistry and physics at work, and you can't run and hide. And what's interesting is allopathy went down the protein. You need protein. You need protein. Protein is the very thing you don't want to do if you have cancer. Let me tell you, this is all acidic, high nitrogen foods. You'll never overcome it with this sort of thing. You want to get to your fruits and vegetables, and particularly fruits, because they're astringent. Why would astringents be so important? Or what system is involved in cancers? The lymph predominantly, except for a few blood cancers, but most leukemias are created from the lymph breaking down your bone marrow and spleen. And then, of course, a lot of leukemias are created from the use of chemo. We get a lot of people in here that got leukemia from chemo. I have this beautiful little girl's picture here. Maybe I'll show it here to you. And this is just one of millions of kids. This is a little girl here that 10 years old. She had childhood leukemia. Children are much easier to deal with leukemia because they're in a growth stage, and they gave her a chemo, of course. She started blistering and going up, so they gave her steroids, and it's like push pull, and of course the little girl died, typically, and it's like, this makes me want to throw up. It does not have to happen. And then yet they promote themselves as being the great ones with the white coats and the stethoscopes. I tell you something, wake up, guys, if you're listening to this, because you're in a situation where you must gain knowledge and learn what we're talking about and save yourself, because this is a serious problem, and now the kids are full of cancer. Why? What's genetically being passed down the pike here in most lines that are creating these problems? Let's go back to the system most cancers are in, the lymph system. What do you think we're passing genetically? Weak kidneys, weak adrenals. How many people have low blood pressure? How about the kids? Extremely low blood pressure. Neurologically, their autonomic nervous systems are shot at birth. And then we give them anesthesia, we give them some neurotoxic vaccines, and then they go into ADD, ADHD, they go into convulsions. I mean, what are we doing to our people for the sake of health? We're lost. The human race is lost. And if you don't wake up, the termination of most people, maybe that's the goal with the World Health Organization. But if you want to live, I suggest highly you learn the rules of the road. You learn the rules of nature. You learn the rules of the body, the rules of chemistry, the two sides of chemistry, the fact that acids is the corrosive side of chemistry. You go to any chemist and he'll tell you that. Most chemists know what cancer is easy, and I gave you one in part 1 about a CNN doing a special on cancer. Look it up. They probably have it where you can Google it. All boils down to one major fluid and one side of chemistry. That's the lymph fluids and the acid side of chemistry, and that's where you can find the bulk of man's pain and suffering. Change your diet, change your intake of chemistry and physics, and the whole thing turns around on you. Yes, there are symptoms in detox where you get congestion, you get mucus out, tumors disappear, aches and pains as your body's rebuilding tissue that's been damaged. But you can't rebuild tissue in an acid medium. You can't get healthy in an acid medium. Why would you give more acids to a person? That should be criminal. You prosecutors need to start prosecuting the use of chemotherapy. Judges are forcing children to take chemo. That little boy that survived, he only survived because of the natural products that he was taking. And I'll tell you this. You know, there's this big deal that we are low on the supplies of chemo, that people are needing this vital life-saving drug. Are you serious? That's propaganda. That's lies. There's no such thing. This isn't Jesus juice. This is serious, serious trouble. This is an acid that'll rip your cells apart in your body, and we belly right up to it. Hey, give me a dose of acid. Well, people do it every time they drink a Coke or Pepsi or Dr. Pepper or a soft drink. Those are cellular acids, about 3 pH, most soft drinks. And that's the kind of acid that'll destroy cells, and yet we want to give them something more like hydrochloric acid or closer to battery acid. You know the classic name for chemo in nursing? Drano. Why? Because it has that effect. How many people do you know that when they went into an artery down here that you saw the collapse of that artery or vein mainly, see the collapse of that? Right down to the brachial and down. So now we don't do this anymore, do we? No, we go right into the aorta. Yeah, we go right in there. You know, this stuff is insane. This man has to wake up from this barbaric, dark agey type of thinking and start realizing what health is really about. And then you can regenerate your children, because if you want to have a healthy downline, people have to start waking up to genetics and how we remember cells genetically. How do we increase the awareness of a cell that thinks itself genetically weak? In labs, we're going crazy looking for genes and this bad gene and that bad gene. We could get rid of a lot of money going that way, because we already know it's simpler than all of that. It's so much simpler than all of that. And yet we put a lot of money to research that has no yield to it. Very few yields to it. What do we got? Chemo and toxic drugs? I mean, this is insane. Just look at the news and look at the advertisements about pharmaceuticals. I love the ones where this drug, like Imbro, all these drugs causes lymphomas and strokes and heart attacks, but you need it. You know, it's like, oh, are you serious? This is how apathetic, this is how numb most of the humans on this planet are. I know the people that are smart here that go, whoa, no way. Bad drug, you see this all the time. But FDA, no problem, we'll let this drug on the market. If you have a kill ratio of, you know, maybe 10 people out of 1,000, that's acceptable. Is it really acceptable? Would it be acceptable that my herbs kill 10 people out of 1,000 who use them? That wouldn't be acceptable, would it? As a matter of fact, I'd probably be going to jail. Now, why would pharmaceutical companies not be going to jail? Massive killing. Now, you know how many lawsuits a pharmaceutical company has at any given time? Thousands. You know, it's amazing. It's just amazing when you wake up what you're going to see. So if you have cancer, any kind, lung, bone, liver, most of these cancers are not difficult for your body to clean out. Not in terms of cancer, the disease, but when you're breaking down your body with acids, wouldn't it make sense that you remove the acids, not add more? That's pretty common sense. So you got to get some common sense in there. I've got to run. I've got an appointment. I apologize that I can't ramble on with you, but it's important that I'm coming. It's important that you learn the truth and that you take care of yourself, because we're a love channel. We're about love. We're about God. We're about health and healing. We're not about diseases and the negative side of life. So I hope you enjoyed these videos. I'm a little strict with my focus, because we've seen thousands and thousands and thousands of great, beautiful people succumb to this aggressive acid chemotherapy machine. And we've gotten complacent. Oh, I guess there's nothing else, you know, that's all I have. Well, start breaking away from allopathy and start opening up the world of natural health. It's huge. It's so much bigger than modern medicine, it's not even funny. That's alternative. We're not alternative. Alternative is when you have, it's something new. Traditional is something that's been around since the dawn of time. We're traditional. We're God people. We've been here since the creation of creation, and any animals have used herbs. So this is traditional, not alternative. A slick little change of words. If you can't find remedy in health, then by all means go to the allopathic community. But don't go to the allopathic community first. That makes no sense, because then we have to fix you up from what they did to you. And it's like, yeah, that's more work. And so we hope you do well. And please listen to these other videos and enjoy our video line here. It's all for you. It's all for you to get well and get your health in your own hands. I'm here to empower you, to make you strong, to get you healthy. And that's our focus. So thank you so much, and you have a great, great day. And get your health in line here. There's nothing any more important than the health of your body to enjoy this planet. So thank you very, very much, and I must run. Thank you. Bye-bye.